Imagine having the full power of a customized, high-performance developer workstation, like the kind of machine that is completely pre-configured for complex enterprise software.
Right, loaded with every dependency, library, framework, and tool you could possibly need.
Exactly. But now, imagine you don't actually own that machine. You don't update it, you definitely don't maintain it, and you're not carrying it around in a heavy backpack.
You're just accessing all of its power instantly from a single browser tab on literally any basic computer.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are cracking open the architecture of a tool that is quietly rewiring how enterprise tech gets built. We're talking about SAP Business Application Studio.
Yeah, and we've been going through these extensive technical reference guides, specifically relying on some really brilliant detailed mapping by SAP mentor Ruhani Gargar. The underlying mechanics here are just fascinating.
Our mission today is to demystify SAP Business Application Studio, or BAS as everyone calls it. We want to figure out how it provides this frictionless, zero-setup environment for you.
Because if you're spending your weeks bouncing between legacy on-premise servers and modern cloud deployments, understanding BAS is basically a shortcut to keeping your sanity.
Seriously. But before we get into how to actually use the tool, we need to understand what it is and why SAP fundamentally changed its architecture from the old standard.
Yeah, because for a long time, the standard was the SAP Web IDE. And we really have to look at why SAP tore out that old engine.
Okay, let's unpack this. The old SAP Web IDE did the job for a while, right? I mean, it was hosted on Cloud Foundry, and it was built on an open-source Eclipse base called Orion.
It was, but if we're being honest, it was getting seriously long in the tooth. Performance was generally rated as moderate.
Which is a very polite enterprise way of saying it was incredibly sluggish, especially when you were trying to compile anything complex.
Exactly. Plus, its support for modern frameworks like CAP, the Cloud Application Programming Model, it was pretty basic. The real bottleneck was the Orion architecture itself. It was just too isolated.
And the broader software engineering world was rapidly standardizing around entirely different tool sets.
Right. Developers want to use the tools the rest of the industry is using. If your enterprise platform locks them into this proprietary, rigid environment, you just lose productivity.
You lose talent, too. Developers will just try to build locally and hack their way into your systems. So moving from the legacy Web IDE to BAS, it's kind of like trading in a lockdown flip phone from 2010 for a modern smartphone with a universal app store.
That's a perfect way to look at it, because BAS ditched Orion completely. It's built entirely on a framework called Eclipse Thea.
And what's fascinating here is that Eclipse Thea is designed specifically to build cloud and desktop IDEs. But the absolute most vital detail...
Hides its DNA, yeah.
Right. It shares its underlying architecture with VS Code, which is arguably the most popular, ubiquitous code editor on the planet right now.
So by adopting Thea, SAP isn't just offering a slightly better proprietary web editor. They're giving you a true VS Code-like experience, natively in the browser.
It taps directly into the VS Code extension marketplace, right alongside SAP's own specialized extensions. And the guide notes this bumps performance from moderate straight up to high.
Yep, and it elevates CAP development to first-class support while maintaining full parity for ABAP development tools. It's a massive upgrade across the board.
It really is. But, okay, pushback time. If this is basically just a VS Code experience running in a web browser, why wouldn't a developer just download regular VS Code locally to their machine?
I mean, the desktop app is free, right?
Exactly. Why bother paying for and provisioning a cloud version at all?
What's fascinating here is that it comes down to the hidden, staggering cost of local environments. The real value is in the concept of zero local setup.
Because setting up a new machine is a nightmare.
Oh, it's a massive sinkhole of billable hours. Think about bringing a senior developer onto an enterprise team. You pay them a high salary, and they spend their first 3 days fighting local corporate firewall rules.
Just to download the right version of Node.js?
Exactly that. You're managing specific Java virtual machines, pointing to internal NPM registries, configuring environment variables,
And trying to figure out why a package compiles perfectly on your coworker's Mac, but totally fails on your Windows machine.
Right. It's dependency hell. But with BAS, because it's a cloud-hosted IDE sitting directly on the SAP Business Technology Platform, the BTP, all of that friction is just structurally eliminated.
You aren't just getting an editor. You're getting an environment instantly pre-configured for SAP ecosystems.
No downloading gigabytes of dependencies over a terrible hotel Wi-Fi connection, no local registry errors. You log in via your BTP cockpit, and the environment is standard, secure, and ready to go.
Okay, standardizing the environment across a massive enterprise team makes total sense. But since we're completely ditching the local hard drive, we need a way to organize our projects in the cloud.
Yeah, otherwise they just turn into a tangled mess on a shared server.
Right. And that leads us directly to how BAS provisions access. The technical reference outlines a highly structured access funnel.
You don't just open a URL and drop into a server with 50 other developers. You go through the SAP BTP cockpit. First, your specific sub-account has to be granted the BAS entitlement.
And then it uses role collections, right?
Exactly. You might be assigned the developer role for full access, or the administrator role if you're managing sub-account settings, or even an extension deployer role.
But even after you have those keys to the castle, BAS still doesn't dump you into one giant workspace. Your actual day-to-day coding happens inside what SAP calls dev spaces.
Right. Dev spaces are basically containerized development environments. They're isolated instances spun up on demand.
And the guide notes each dev space is tailored to a specific use case. If you're building CAPI applications with Java or Node, you spin up a full-stack cloud application dev space.
Or if you're focused on user interfaces, you spin up an SAP Fiori dev space. There's also one for SAP HANA Native, a basic bare bones one, and a dedicated ABAP dev space.
But why silo them like this? Why not just have one massive dev space with the HANA database tools, the Node modules, and the ABAP compilers all pre-installed?
Yeah. Compute efficiency and preventing environment conflicts. Mixing node dependencies with massive ANA native tools creates a really heavy memory footprint, and BTP charges based on resource consumption.
Ah, so it's a cost thing too.
Absolutely. By siloing them, the compute engine only loads the exact memory footprint and tools needed for that specific task. It cuts down cloud costs and stops tool sets from interfering with each other.
It's like renting specialized commercial kitchens. If you're going to bake a wedding cake, you rent the bakery kitchen with the massive stand mixers.
Right, you don't rent the one with the blast chillers.
Exactly. If you're making sushi, you want the blast chillers. You wouldn't clutter up your floor space with tools you aren't using. Dev spaces load the compute engine with only what you need.
But this raises an important question. The containerized nature of those spaces usually introduces a major point of anxiety for developers.
Oh, totally. Because containers are usually ephemeral.
Yeah.
They're designed to be spun up and destroyed. So if it's a containerized cloud space, doesn't that mean it's temporary? If I close my browser, or the BTP servers do a maintenance restart, do I lose my custom VS Code themes?
Or your extensions? Or the code you forgot to push to Git?
Yes. That is a terrifying thought.
It's a completely valid fear, but the underlying architecture addresses this through a mechanism called workspace persistence.
So it's not actually ephemeral.
Not for your data. Think of the DevSpace compute engine like a rental car, and the persistent storage volume like your heavy luggage.
Okay, I like that.
When you log off for the weekend, that specific dev space, the rental car, is shut down and returned to the lot to save SAP resources. But your luggage stays safe.
So the code, the settings, the extensions, they're all locked in that persistent storage volume.
Precisely. And when you log back in on Monday, BAS spins up a brand new, identical compute engine, drops your storage volume right into it, and you drive off without missing a beat.
That's awesome. You get the lightweight benefits of a container without the amnesia. Code and configurations survive the restarts.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, dev spaces actually isolate complexity. They're the ultimate filter against information overload.
Because you only see the tools you need for the specific app you're building.
Sure.
You aren't visually parsing through ANIC commands when you just want to style a Fiori button.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our customized kitchens set up, but what are we actually cooking? We need to look at the two massive pillars of SAP development.
Yeah.
The user interface, which is Fiori, and the back end, which is ABAP.
Let's start with Fiori. It's SAP's UX framework based on UI5. And BAS fundamentally changes how you build those interfaces.
It provides the Fiori application generator wizard, right? It automatically scaffolds your project folders.
Yeah, but here's where it gets really interesting. It transforms development from pure hand coding into a visual, guided process. You get the application modeler, which is a drag-and-drop page editor.
And the guided development tool, which is basically an interactive wicket. It's like bowling with the bumpers up. It guides you step by step.
Hand coding OData annotations, or UI routing from scratch in XML, is incredibly tedious. Guided development acts almost like a pair programmer.
Right. It just asks what feature you want to add, like a new filter bar, and injects the correct code block into the exact right place. You don't have to guess the syntax.
And there are live previews running simultaneously. As you tweak the layout, you see the application update in real time, connected to mock data or a live backend.
Then you just execute a build command to create your multi-target application archive and deploy it to Cloud Foundry or the SAP Launchpad service straight from the terminal.
It lowers the barrier to entry so much.
It really does for the front end. But moving to the back end, I got some pushback here. I get that a browser is great for drag-and-drop UI, but hardcore ABAP developers are used to heavy, robust desktop applications.
Like the SAP GUI or Eclipse?
Right. Can a browser really handle compiling complex back-end ABA code and running heavy code inspector checks?
Well, the browser tab itself isn't doing the heavy lifting, it's just the interface. BAS connects to ABP through the ABAP Development Tools extension, the ADT.
But how does a cloud app on the BTP physically and securely reach a server sitting in a corporate basement behind layers of firewalls?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it uses the SAP Cloud Connector to establish a secure reverse tunnel.
Okay.
In BAS, you configure a BTP destination. The Cloud Connector, sitting inside the corporate network, reaches out to establish the link. You map a virtual host and a port.
Typically port 8000 for ABV systems, right?
Exactly. So the Cloud IDE securely tunnels into the on-premise network without the developer ever wrestling with VPNs. And if you're on S/4HANA Cloud, you just use a service key JSON file to authenticate.
But does the developer lose the raw power they had on a desktop client?
Not at all. The core muscle memory stays completely intact. If you want to activate an object, you hit F3 on your keyboard exactly as you always have.
Wait, really? You just hit F3 on a laptop in a coffee shop, and it triggers a heavy object activation on a mainframe halfway across the world.
Yep. The mainframe does the intense compiling and sends back a success message. It happens almost instantly. You can run ATC checks, the ABAP test, cockpit execute unit tests, manage transport requests.
So it seamlessly bridges that deep legacy on-premise back-end world with modern agile cloud workflows. You can execute true full-stack development in one unified place.
It's incredibly efficient, but having all these advanced visual editors and ABA compilers is useless if you get bogged down clicking through endless menus.
Which brings us to the operational reality. To truly unlock BAS, we have to look at how it's actually driven day to day. We need to talk about the command palette.
The command palette is the absolute nerve center of BAS. It inherits that whole philosophy from VS Code. You bring it up with Ctrl plus Shift plus P or F1.
I see it as an omniscient universal remote control. Instead of navigating a spatial interface with 50 tiny icons, you navigate via text.
And beyond the palette, standard keyboard shortcuts apply. You press F12 for go to definition to jump across the project.
Or F2 to rename a symbol, and it automatically refactors that name across the entire repository. The built-in Git integration is huge. You can clone, commit, pull, push directly from the source control panel or the terminal.
Right.
But honestly, looking at this massive list of commands, and I got ABAP commands, Fiori commands, Git commands, KIP commands, isn't this exactly the kind of information overload our listener hates?
It looks overwhelming at first glance, sure.
How is anyone supposed to memorize all this?
That's the genius of it. You don't have to memorize anything. The command palette is a search engine for actions, and it relies heavily on fuzzy matching.
So if I want to open the Fiori page map,
You just hit Ctrl plus Shift plus P and type page map. The system instantly filters the list and brings it up. It guesses your intent based on plain English keywords.
that is so much faster than digging through dropdowns.
Way faster. And for CIP developers, the terminal commands are tightly integrated, like CDs init to start a project or CDs deploy to HANA, but the real game changer is CDs watch.
What does CD's Watch do?
It launches a local CIP server directly inside your dev space, but it enables live reload.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the moment you hit save on a file, the CD's watch process detects the change, instantly restarts the local server, and automatically refreshes the preview in your browser.
You don't have to manually kill the server in the terminal and run a new build command.
Nope. It provides immediate feedback, it speeds up the learning curve, and respects the developer's time.
That immediate feedback loop completely changes the psychological cost of coding. If compiling takes 5 minutes, you get distracted. If it takes milliseconds because of live reload, you stay locked in.
It removes the friction between having an idea and seeing it execute.
We've covered some incredible ground today. We started by exploring why BAS replaced the legacy Web IDE, moving from Orion to the VS Code-like Thea framework.
We looked at how dev spaces keep our tools perfectly organized and siloed, using workspace persistence so we never lose our data.
And we saw how it seamlessly handles both Fiori front-end wizards and heavy ABAP back-end connections via the Cloud Connector. Finally, we learned how the command palette turns you into an efficient keyboard ninja.
It really is a massive leap forward.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? BAS is the ultimate shortcut. It abstracts away all the tedious local setup, port configuring, and dependency hell.
It lets you focus strictly on learning and building enterprise applications from anywhere.
Exactly. But it also leaves us with a really fascinating final thought to ponder.
Yeah, if BAS can deliver a fully persistent, high-performance IDE capable of compiling complex enterprise backends directly in a browser tab, what does this mean for the future of developer hardware?
Seriously, are we rapidly approaching a world where the ultra-expensive maxed-out developer laptop is entirely obsolete?
I mean, if all the heavy lifting is happening in a BTP container, your local machine is just a thin client. It's just a pane of glass looking into the cloud.
You might just need a basic screen, a good keyboard, and a solid Wi-Fi connection. Something to think about the next time you hear the cooling fan spinning up on your expensive local machine. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.